welcome to Money Shift. Today we are driving the 2024 WRX TR. Now the changes Subaru made to the TR compared to a regular WRX: high-performance 6-piston brakes, stiffer springs, different damping rates, 19-inch wheels with Bridgestone Potenzas, retuned steering for increased feel, standard Recaro seats, and a moonroof delete. This promises to be the most fun you can have in a Subaru WRX because they're not going to make you an STI. So no added visuals, no added power. This is the best of the best. It doesn't get any better. Wait a minute. Subaru this week just dropped this, the WRX TS. It's going to make its first public appearance on June 2nd at Wicked Big Meet, and it promises to have a lot of what I just mentioned is on the WRX TR. So what is the difference? Well, there's three main things. The first of which is the adaptive suspension from the WRX GT. The second of which is a unique blue interior, which is very reminiscent of the last generation STI. The third of which is a full LCD gauge cluster that kind of already looks antiquated, but hey, it's modern tech. Let's get to the WRX TR though, because these two cars should drive very similar. All right, we find ourselves behind the wheel of the brand new Subaru WRX, but this isn't just any Subaru WRX. No, this is the WRX TR, and TR stands for Tuner Ready. And tuner ready means something a little bit different than what it meant back when the name was first revealed. Tuner ready, when Subaru first dropped that moniker, meant base model. It meant it was ready to be modified. That car came with not a lot of things because it knew you were just going to modify them. But now this kind of means something a little bit different. In Subaru speak, if I'm interpreting their words, tuner ready actually means they've tuned it for you and it's ready to do a bunch of different things. Now, Subaru has made a considerable amount of changes to the TR version of this WRX. No, this is not an STI by any stretch. This isn't a different engine or some trick stuff, but Subaru is hoping that they've made enough changes to this car that, you know, maybe you forget that they don't have an STI. Maybe you forget that you want that big wing or a different motor or something like that. And to be honest, in my short driving experience so far, this thing might be pretty freaking good. All right, you know what we do. We are here at the IMPA spring brake, and when we hit this left-hander, we give it the absolute beans. So we're going to shift it into second and let her rip, tater chip. Good speed out of this 2.4-liter turbocharged engine. The power curve in these motors is sublime. Subaru has done a really good job with their turbocharged engine in this new generation. I'm a real big fan. This shifter is leagues better than the traditional WRX. The throws are really straight, they're short, they're precise. Look at this. Bang, no problem. In the regular WRX, you kind of feel like a stick in gravel, but this feels very, very nice. Now, the WRX TR also got a revised steering, so let's see how that does as we throw it into this section. Heel toe is relatively easy in this car. The initial turn-in is very, very strong. This car just wants to dart into the location and have the all-wheel drive system sort of carry it around the curve, which is really, really nice. Oh, the feel of this car is actually, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. And the reason why I'm shocked is because I was ready to purchase a regular WRX. I was at the dealer, we were signing papers, and then for whatever reason I had a change of heart. And I don't know if it was because of the driving experience or what it was. Maybe it was the price at the time, because it was when the WRX first dropped and they were still charging a considerable amount over sticker at some of the dealers that I was working with. But this model solves pretty much every problem I had with the non-TR WRX manual. The shifter is more direct. The seats, these Recaros, are more supportive. The steering, while it doesn't have much feel not a lot of feel going on here. The initial turn-in is ridiculously good. This car will dart to wherever you point it, and that isn't true of a lot of vehicles, especially in 2024. So even though it doesn't have the weight behind it, the fact that this is an all-wheel drive car that you can sort of just fling into corners and leverage the all-wheel drive system to sort of pull you out of it is pretty impressive. Kudos to Subaru, man. This thing drives like a whole new machine, and it does so with only minor changes. I say minor, but they're actually big, right? It's a revised steering rack, different suspension, different brakes, so there's a lot more to this car than sort of meets the eye. And when I say meets the eye, I mean meets the eye, because if you look at the WRX TR, you don't really notice any differences. None. You actually notice zero. You notice no changes to the WRX TR. It looks exactly the same. And because of that, a lot of people were down on it as opposed to the regular WRX, which was, you know, like it doesn't have many changes, and yet it still tries to warrant that price tag. So let's pull off. We're going to park here in the beautiful Poconos, and we are going to see what does this WRX look like, especially compared to a regular model. Like all Subarus, you got the collar to go into reverse. Small camera there, kind of annoying, but it's okay. All right, and a handbrake. A handbrake, folks! All right, let's go take a look-see. Oh, look at this view, guys. Insane. Okay, so the WRX TR, what is the easiest way for you to understand you have the WRX TR? Well, to be honest, it's two ways and only two ways, because many changes to its regular WRX counterpart, and they're both right here. The wheel, tire, and brakes will be the easiest way for you to understand stock for stock if you have a TR or you don't have a TR. You can tell by those massive Brembos and the larger wheel tire package that this car is what it is, and that really is the only cue on the outside. Now, there might be some subtle changes to this compared to the regular WRX, but by and large, that's really going to be the only way you're going to see it. And to me, that's actually quite appealing. I like that this car looks a little bit stealth compared to its price tag. Now, the things that have bothered me about the WRX's overall appearance really are two key things. One is this big black plastic chunk of a piece for the bumper and the black plastic fender flare look. Now, I know why they do it, right? The Subaru WRX has off-road intentions, so why, you know, scratch or ding up something that's painted, and instead you have this rugged looking black plastic? I totally understand that, but in practice, in visuals, I wish it was body color. The Subaru owners that have body colored their fender flares have made a dramatic improvement to the overall look of this car. And if you haven't seen it, here's what it looks like with the body color, or with the flares painted body color. Look at the difference in style. It just looks so much nicer. But we got to do what we're doing on all of these tests, which is checking out the back seat and sitting behind ourselves. I'm going to heat my bag to the other side. Now, as a reminder, I'm 6 feet tall, 280 pounds, and we are sitting in the back seat of the Subaru. That was a nice thud. And look at this, folks. I have legroom. I have headroom. I'm actually comfortable back here. We have an armrest with cup holders and two power outlets, a USB-C and a USB-A. Two map pockets on each side. The Subaru is just a good place to be. One touch power windows. Do they go all the way down? They do! Oh, what a win. This thing is just really, really nice to be in, guys. I like this. Now, the WRX TR also slick top, because driving. But let's take a look at the front seat of the Subaru. Now inside you are met with these Recaros, which provide a lot more bolstering versus the traditional WRX seat. You have this what feels like synthetic leather wheel, not as nice as some of the other wheels in the class, but I like the red stitching underneath. Left side we have audio controls, right side we have cruise control, and then we have our phone over here. This screen is the biggest problem with the WRX. While it is a good size and while it is really well integrated, it's slow to use, but you know, luckily you're going to be using it in Apple CarPlay mode for the majority of the time anyway, so that problem becomes a little bit mitigated. But you can see as well when you put it in reverse that the fidelity on that camera is just really low. You do still have a volume knob, which is nice, so even though you have buttons, or excuse me, haptic buttons on this screen for your HVAC, you can still change the temperature with physical buttons and turn on things that are important like your front and rear defroster, and change the volume with physical buttons. So Subaru is still thinking of you there. And you do still have physical gauges as well, which is actually kind of refreshing. All the inputs are really nice in this car. It feels very premium. The suede, it's just a good place to be, and I could see myself spending a lot of time behind the wheel of this car. But let's get back on the road and see how it is, and do I actually want to buy one of these things? Oh my goodness, let's see. It's good. So these seats, for one, more bolstering, but it's still relatively comfortable. I'm 280 pounds and I don't find myself being too squeezed in this car, and that's the case in some other vehicles. This shifter is really good. Now, it's not Integra Type S or Honda Civic Type R good, but it's an overall good unit. The power level that this car has is perfectly usable. It doesn't plant you in your seat like the IS 500 does, but it's more than enough power to have more than enough fun behind the wheel. The steering is the most direct steering I've used in a car under $50,000. That's true of this, that it's better than the Civic Type R in terms of how direct it is. It's better than the Integra in terms of how direct it is. It's better than the Corolla GR in terms of how direct it is. Where it falls on its face compared to those other cars is the steering feel. You don't get much of it. I'm throwing this thing into corners, and if you were to just turn the wheel at that rate, you would not be able to understand that. You wouldn't be able to perceive that because there isn't any added weight or anything telling you that you're going any faster. There's no communication with the tires from this steering, which really is the only drawback to the driving experience, is the feel, not the steering itself, if that makes sense. The steering itself is direct. The steering itself is precise, but there's no feel there. The other con to the Subaru is the same one that it's always had. It's that screen. I wish this screen was a little bit better. Final thoughts on the WRX TR. $42,000 is a lot of money, and it puts it in really good company. You get Golf R, Civic Type R, and you get Corolla GR. Now, this car still undercuts all of them, but it doesn't have as many things as those other cars have. The Corolla GR has more power. The Civic Type R has a better transmission and better steering feel. The Golf R has more speed and more luxury. But because the WRX undercuts all of those, the fact that it's 80% of the car that all of those is, means it's a pretty good machine. And I mean it when I say there's no car in this class that has direct steering and initial turn-in quite like this car. And because of Subaru's all-wheel drive system, it pulls you out of those corners like nothing else. Honestly, even better than the Corolla GR did, which is pretty interesting. You still get a handbrake, which is nice. You still get physical gauges, which is also really nice. So it's a nod to the old school while driving with the best of the new school. On Money Shift, I highly recommend the WRX TR, and I didn't think I was going to say that going into this, but Subaru, you've done yourselves a good job. This is a winner, and it might just end up in my driveway. Who knows? On Money Shift, this is the WRX TR. We'll see you next time.